Okay. Thank
Hey
you.
guys, we are here in the Agent Unleashed Collective, and I want to take the opportunity right now to welcome a very special person, Miss Sharon Gist. Let me tell you a little bit about Sharon. Sharon is an overeducated entrepreneur with 2 master's degrees and certificates in consciousness, health, and healing, hypnosis, journal writing, seminar leader, and has published 4 books that went to the Amazon top seller list. In a former life, she helped take a company on Wall Street from $3 million to $17 billion, which nearly killed her, literally. Now she is a successful networker, helping to build teams to ongoing recurring income and personal freedom. Her passion is helping people become more self aware, more joyful, and able to create a new story of personal and financial freedom, free of limiting beliefs. And I have to say, Sharon is a dear, dear friend of mine. She is also my spiritual mentor and my go to person for uplifting my life. Sharon Gist, welcome.
Whoa, thank you. Did you? That's amazing. I
Did
have
you like
to.
that?
Yeah, I like that.
Oh, listen, I am so happy that you took the time. We're going to have some fun here because one of the things, just before we jumped on here, I love the title of this called The Intersection of Love, Gratitude, Vision, and Amazing Business Success. And because of, my thing is okay, what does love, gratitude, and vision and being tremendously successful in business, how do they intersect? What does one have to do with the other? And she was quick to point out, she said, I'm missing something. And what am I missing, Sharon?
Belief, faith.
Belief. I love it. I love it. So give us an overview, just exactly where you're at in this whole thing. Why do we have to talk about all these sort of what I'm going to sort of call airy-fairy kinds of things? And because your listener base right now, as you're speaking to, are entrepreneurs, are real estate agents that are trying to create the business of their dreams.
Exactly. When you leave, the reason I chose those things, vision, belief, gratitude, and love, essentially every one of the books from the early 1900s that talk about manifesting, that talk about success, that talk about what it takes. The Science of Getting Rich, Wallace D. Wattles, Think and Grow Rich. They all tell you to have vision, belief, gratitude, and love. And so I've been studying them, and what's his name, Murphy, also. And essentially, when you get clear, and this has been happening to me because I've been working on this in my own consciousness. Because if I'm so smart, how come I'm not a bazillionaire? I'm going, come on, this doesn't make sense. And it's shifted because my vision has never wavered to make a
Uh-huh.
ridiculous amount of money that I can help my sisters who are 82 and 83 and myself. I'm 78. I'm not going to, I need to take care of myself too. And I'm sitting here, I'm realizing, oh my gosh, this has to happen now. Can't happen 10 years from now. Like a lot of
Right,
you guys
right.
have all the time in the world. We don't, you know. So, and belief. Well, do I believe in myself? Do I believe in what I'm doing? Do I believe that I can get a result? Do I have the faith that the universe has my back? Do I
Hmm.
believe that something larger than personal is at play here besides me saying, I'm going to do? I'm a human being, not a human doing. you know?
Hmm.
So that piece of faith and belief is a very critical piece of manifesting something completely different. And it also helps keep you on track. And so what does
Hmm.
gratitude and love have to do with it? If you're not grateful for what you have, first of all, why are you going to get any more? I mean,
Hmm. Hmm.
and and gratitude uplifts your vibration. So you attract to you who you are being. And if you're saying, I'm doing all this stuff, but you're doing it with this kind of an attitude, like, it's like, okay, I'll go through it. But, I'm doing everything you told me to do. How come it's not working? No gratitude, no results. And,
Hmm.
and, and if you're not grateful for your business as it is, how are you going to grow that business any further? How are you going to
Mhm.
believe in yourself enough to do that? So, and we had a conversation before. I'll mention that before, but I want to finish this because I also said love. What does love have to do with it? Well, we're in service. We have to love ourselves, love our clients, love our process. And the more cantankerous and challenging a situation is, the more love we need to bring to it to change it. If we don't have that consciousness, that awareness, that that we can reflect back and be looking at how can I add love to the scene, then it's going to be that much harder. And when
Mhm.
I talk about raising our vibration, our frequency, I was telling you before about an experience I had on Monday where just giving a gratitude sticker to somebody
Mhm.
made me grateful, lifted up our vibration, and then wasn't quite complete. I hadn't quite recalibrated. So I bought some donut holes to give to my office staff. And by the time I did that, I've been flying ever since. That was Monday. This is Wednesday afternoon. Everything that could have gone wrong, and I don't
I love it. Well, let me play devil's advocate though, because
care. I love it.
you read these books, you see these movies of these hard charging executives that are making millions and millions of dollars. I personally have worked with many executives that make tens of millions of dollars, and I don't see a lot of love, gratitude, belief coming out of their pores. They
Do you
seem
see
like
a
they're
lot of
very
joy? Do you see any joy?
well, I don't know. They stress me out. you know,
And they're stressed out also. That vibration,
absolutely.
yeah, they're stressed out. They're not enjoying it. I don't care how many millions of dollars the more you have from that mentality, the more work, the more you're afraid of losing it, the more if I stop, that's hardly a way to live,
I
right?
know exactly, exactly. And the truth too that you and I've talked about many times is just earning money for the sake of money sake. I mean, it's just like I just closed the deal today. All right, so I just got a decent sized commission check wired into my checking account. I was super excited for the first 7 minutes, and then after that, it's like, okay, now what? And so and one of the things in my course, the Agent Unleashed Collective, the very first thing that I have everybody talk about is their vision. So I think that that's one thing that it's easy for a lot of people to wrap their head around is why is it so important to have a real strong vision or a mission? And it can't be just, I want to earn $10 million. There's got to be something else. Why is that so important?
If you don't have your vision clear, then when you hit an obstacle, you fall down. And if you don't, and shiny object syndrome comes in, it's like if you're not clear on where you're headed, you won't have the focus to get there. It'll just take you way, way longer because if you don't have any
Mm.
vision, like when I was on Wall Street, I had gone to, it was a zillion years ago. I was a teacher planning to become a therapist for kids, which I did umpteen years later. But I took this summer job typing because I realized I hated everybody. And I wasn't going to be a very good therapist if I hated all grown-ups. So I went to Wall Street because I didn't know anything about business. I didn't know the difference between a stock and a bond. So I was typing. It was, after school. And I started getting interested, and I would take a sentence that didn't make any sense and I would fix it and go to the analyst and say, wouldn't this sentence be better if and they looked at me like I had four heads because what typist does that? So I grew from being a typist to a senior vice president of a company and took them to $17 billion. But I
Wow.
didn't really have a vision when I was doing that other than to stop hating everybody. and and I realized when I got sick, because I hit 67 cities in less than 3 months and my body collapsed. This is what those
Wow.
bazillionaires that you talk about do to themselves. My body loves me enough to fall apart and say, stop
Hmm.
moving. you know.
Mhm.
I mean, I had 67 cities, 3 months, met 2,500 people, and my body just literally collapsed. It wouldn't get, I
Wow.
couldn't step up off a curb that was bigger than this without holding onto a pole. So,
Wow.
but in that process, that's when I started the spiritual journey. So I'm like 35-ish at this 36. So I've been doing this for a long time. And I realized
Wow.
I get happier all the time. You see me, right, over the years.
Mhm.
And it isn't about the money. And I've never wavered in my belief that it's possible to make all that money, but I definitely wavered in my belief in myself. I definitely wavered in my belief in my vehicles that I was trying to do it with. One
Mhm.
of the things that I so admire about you, Chris, is your stick to itiveness, your clarity of what it takes to get from A to Z and to actually be the agent unleashed that you are. And your willingness to do the repetitive things that it takes to get
Mhm.
what you want. And you don't waste a lot of energy on shiny objects. You don't
Mhm.
do that.
Mhm.
You do it less and less. The more focused you get and the more money you make, you do that.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
even so, when you and I first started talking about this stuff, probably 10 or more years ago,
Mhm.
you had just gotten a big check like you did today, and you were totally depressed because it was all gone. It was all allocated already.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it was like this, you knew that there was something off about this because you make this money, but you didn't get the joy of it. And now you have the joy. You're living your dream. You're not waiting
Mhm.
until you get $20 million in your pocket. You had the money, you went and you lived your dream. Oh my God.
Mhm.
People don't do it. It's like as soon as we go to school, we get a good job, we've created a bunch of debt to do that. We buy a house, we go into debt, and we spend the next 40 years paying it off for what? Unless
Mhm.
we can get clarity on what we're wanting and why we're wanting it, we're gonna just keep on doing what we're trained to do. And
Mhm.
everybody on this call is an entrepreneur. They may have a job with an agency, but you can't be a real estate person and not be an entrepreneur ultimately.
That's correct.
And
Mhm.
and the people who drop out are the ones who have a job mentality, don't have a vision for where they want to create. They don't have the
Mhm.
belief that they can get there, that they're good
Mhm.
enough, that the system works for them, and that the universe works for them. Everything is conspiring for my good. I know that.
I love that. I mean, and you're right. I think that's one of the things that I love is I just have such a strong vision and I have such a strong belief system in terms of what I really want to accomplish in my life and all that kind of good stuff. But so we're talking big picture kind of stuff right now. So if there's somebody listening to this and they're saying, okay, well, what are the day to day? I'm, right brain or left brain, whatever it is. I want to know specifics. What are the steps I can do? What should I be concentrating on? How do I get gratitude? How do I get love? How do I do the vision? What are some steps that somebody can really start doing on a daily
Okay.
basis to make this?
Well, there are two things that I think are really important that a lot of people won't do at all. And even if
Mm,
they've heard about them, they won't do. One is meditating, and two is journaling. Now, it doesn't,
mm,
I spend hours doing those things because they give me such pleasure, but you don't have to spend hours doing it. If you wake up in the morning and the first thought you have is one of gratitude, you might wake up with a to do list that's a mile long and be already defeated before you get out of your bed. But if you stop
mhm,
and you don't get out of bed until you're grateful for what you have, until you're grateful
mm,
for that breath you're taking, you're grateful to have a roof over your head, you're grateful. Like I have this little bitty apartment at the moment that I really, frankly, can't stand. And, But I'm grateful that I have a home. I'm grateful for the help I've gotten. I'm grateful that it's small enough that I don't have to spend my life cleaning it, you know. But
Mhm.
I have to cultivate gratitude. I have to
Mhm.
cultivate that. Um, and what I do is I get up and I do a meditation. I do a
Mhm.
15 to 30-minute meditation, or if it's 4:30 in the morning, I might do an hour and a half meditation. But
Mhm.
the meditation, the essence of what I want to do is to alter my brain waves so that I'm in a state like a theta state. And I use guided meditations because I'm not that's because I've gotten used to it. But what I want is that went from that altered state where the brain is
Mhm.
actually working for me, then I'm not afraid to look at what I did wrong because I'm judging myself all the time. We all are.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
if I can notice, what did I do yesterday that really didn't work very well? What did I do yesterday that did work? What would I what did I do that I do not want to repeat today? Where did I
Mhm.
get grumpy for no reason? Where did I let somebody else's attitude affect my attitude? What where did I let worrying about my sister get in my way of my joy?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
be conscious. If you bring it to conscious of where,
Conscious living. Yes. Mhm.
then you have a choice about it. So that, like what I did on Monday, adding the gratitude sticker and giving away some donuts, I was able to change it. I could see myself, and I thought, is that what I want my day to look like? So I
Mhm.
changed it. And it's like it used to be that people would say, well, just choose your joy. Well, that's easy for you to say, but it is.
Mhm. That's wild. Yeah, I think you froze. I think we lost Sharon, but I totally love the fact that Sharon is talking
Here,
about
I stopped.
medit.
Are you there?
There you go. Yeah,
Okay.
there you go.
So what I started to say was, if you give yourself time to observe yesterday, become conscious of it, but then here's where the magic is. Then you envision your your bigger vision, where you want to go, and what
Mhm.
do you want to do today that's going to help take you there. So that
Right.
you step into being the person who creates $10 million a year. You step
Mhm.
into being, as opposed to, oh well, I'll never do that. But if that's what your vision is, who do you have to become to do that? Because who you're being now obviously isn't getting you there. So you just play with that. You play.
Mhm.
We need to play more. You're good at that. You have such a great
And
sense
so,
of humor.
so meditation and journaling. I have to tell you that I love journaling, as you
I
can
love it.
see. So you've got me journaling and you have me meditating every single morning. I'm doing this every single morning. What are the types of things that you're journaling? And you're doing this after you meditate?
I do it after I meditate because when I'm still as close to being in a sleep state as possible is when my brain is easiest to get into that theta
Mhm.
brainwave.
Yeah,
Before
yeah, yeah.
I look at my phone or anything else, I want to do that, except that I have to look at my phone to get my meditation, but I tune everything else out except my meditation. But the journaling, I have a specific journaling process where I can tap into my unconscious around, what I'll do is become two people. I could have a conversation with my work or with my body or something that I want to
Mhm.
inform me so I do a better job that day. Well, lately I've been having that conversation with God.
Mm,
So for the last
I
couple of
love
years,
it.
I have a conversation. It's SHG. I don't say me because I don't want that identity per se. So I just use my initials. And then I put Jesus as the other person. I could put God, I could put, Moses or whatever, but I
Uh-huh.
have this conversation with this higher being who informs me and guides me. So where I'm, only knowing what I know from before, that's not going to get me where I want to go. I
Are
need to
you
be,
writing both sides of the conversation?
yeah, I'm writing both sides of the
Uh,
conversation, but it comes from stuff bubbles up that I'm shocked at, it's
mhm.
like, and like I might be like, "Da, da, da, da," and it's like, you can just slow down a little here. Slow down to speed up.
Uh-huh.
It's
Uh-huh.
some of the things that are buried in there and brings them forward to help me become a better
Mhm.
person. And sometimes it's drivel, but sometimes it's really profound. Like I get insights into my lovability. And in the beginning, when I was doing this, I had so much self judgment going on that this other entity was like saying, I love you. I love you. All you need is my love. If you love me, that's all you need. And it would be transformative. And I'm in a higher state now than I've been in ever, And before it was
Wow.
very intellectual, but now that I'm actually implementing and doing this stuff every day, and one of my judgments for myself has been my inconsistency. It's very challenging for me to be consistent, and part of that
Mhm.
came from my childhood. I lived in total chaos, and I got in trouble when I wanted it to be less chaotic. And I was
Mhm.
like, my mother, you know disdained housework. I mean, anybody who took the time to clean their house and stuff. So it's like I'm going against my childhood to create an environment that I really want. But what's happened is little by little, I'm choosing who I want to be. And I'm not
Mhm.
wasting as much energy on the judgment crap, you know.
Mm. Do you
So,
think that is that a function though, really, of your maturity, or is that a function of your meditation and your journaling and everything else?
well, I think my meditation and my journaling and my openness to growth, I have been a lifelong learner. And ever since my teens, I have abhorred prejudice of any kind. And
Mhm.
when I would find myself in a prejudicial thought, I would work at changing that. So I used to have all this judgment about corporate America and stuff. That's why I went to Wall Street, because because to me, I had such disdain for it. I knew it was like, oh, that's a prejudice. You need to change that. You need to get informed. You need to stop being ignorant. Because when you
Mhm.
take away the ignorance about any subject, you can at least, if you can't tolerate, like we have a person that both of us are not particularly happy with in our country right now.
Mhm. Mhm.
but but I know that hatred doesn't solve it. I know that. And all
Mhm.
I can do is bring more love to the situation, to to what's going on. You solved it by moving out of the country. That's okay.
Well, let me ask you a question then. I'm thinking about this. Does this apply to business though? Can we wish for, and can we say, I want to triple my listings and I want to be grateful for it, and I want to envision this, and I'm what is it that we can do to get more business
Okay,
and using these techniques?
important question. Once you get the clarity of where your vision, what your vision is, and you
Mm,
know who you are better, you know what obstacles you're overcoming or have overcome, and you know what obstacles may be on the horizon for you to overcome
mhm,
to reach that goal, then then you get then you get to apply these principles of love. We're and this came from my teachers, Ron and Mary Holnick. I don't want to nothing new is on the planet. I'm just regurgitating what I've learned over 78 years. But
Uh-huh.
we're not human doings. We're human beings, and we're spiritual beings living a human experience. We're fundamentally a spiritual being on our path of growth. We're here. We each come into the planet with our own curriculum of
Mm-hmm.
how to become our best self. And our business is a vehicle for our growth. Our business, it's not like we're like our business. I hate to say this, our business is not really all that important. What it what
Mm-hmm.
it is it's a vehicle. You're going to bump up against obstacles, and how do you treat yourself while you go through them? When you bump up against, you know, things that you have no control over versus things you do have control over, it's a spiritual process. And
Mm-hmm.
it's the dilemma is the minute we become it's his fault or somebody did something to me, we have lowered our vibration. We're attracting more of that. We become what we're complaining about. We become more
Uh-huh.
of. So if you're not, I think the single most important thing in applying this to business is self-awareness and consciousness. The
Mm-hmm.
more we can be aware of what our thoughts are, what we're saying to ourselves, what we're what our operating system is working off of. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if we fundamentally operate from a place of the world is out to get me, you're gonna get evidence that the world is out to get you. But if you
Mm-hmm.
look at the world and say, I know that everything is for my good, what can I learn from this situation? How can I, so that then there's no failure. You can get rejected. You can get hung up on. You can, somebody can come in and steal a listing right from under your feet. Fine. You're going to go out and get another one that's better because you know that you're not going
Mm-hmm.
to let that stop you.
So
If
what I'm hearing is that becoming your better higher self and being super successful in business are not diametrically opposed.
Oh
They can
no.
co.
Yeah. And I was having a conversation the other day about sharks versus dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, and I didn't know this about dolphins, we think of them as playful and out there, and everybody loves swimming with the dolphins. But if a shark attacks a dolphin, the whole pod of the dolphins will attack that shark. Sharks don't mess with dolphins because they come together as a team, as a family, and get rid of the shark. And I didn't know that about them, but sharks are all about themselves. They, in my way, I'm eating you. And in business, there are a lot of people who operate like a shark. They will come
Yep.
in and they will rip you off. They will take everything you've got done. They will it's like, to me, it's mind-boggling the evil things that people can do in the name
Mm-hmm.
of, well, I'm just being a shark. I'm being, I truly believe that sharks are not happy people. They're just
Mm-hmm.
they're in their own
I
struggle
believe you.
bus, needing more and more and more. So you want to swim with the dolphins, and you want to have the awareness. You can learn from a shark, but don't be one. You
Mm-hmm.
can learn from that. And then if you have that awareness and you have that self appreciation, when you bump up again, when a shark comes into your world, you can say, I don't think I really want to hang out with you. you know
Mm-hmm.
I'll learn from you. I'll utilize what you're offering, but ain't no way you're getting anything from me. and
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
so what happens is your world, and you've heard, your income is the five people you hang out with. That's going
Yeah.
to be your
Yeah.
average. Well, I hang out with multimillionaires, and I hang out with carps. That's the bottom feeders that get eaten by
The
everybody
carbs.
else. you know
Yeah.
so I have this wide range of people, that has held me back. And now the people that those other bottom feeder type people, I'm loving on them. I'm being kind to them.
Make space for them.
I'm letting them be, but the people I'm hanging with are the Chris Staffords of the world. And I am
Oh, you're too kind.
well, I have to say, you and I don't do business together because you're in real estate and I do all this other silly stuff that I do. But you,
Mhm.
but, but I frankly, I wish I had met you in 2001 when I started network marketing, because I was on this like, do I go into real estate or do I go into network marketing? And I went into
Mhm.
network marketing, and I would have killed it, and I would have crushed it in real estate. I know I would. But
Mhm.
in the state I'm in now, I'll crush anything I decide to do. I won't
Mhm.
do it unless I'm going to crush it. And I know that up front. And it might be hard. I might have to learn new skills. But between my love and gratitude and vision and belief in
Mhm.
myself, there isn't any. I mean, I may be 78 years old. Yeah, okay. I may not climb Mount Everest tomorrow. I may not swim, a marathon anymore, whatever. But
Uh-huh.
But that's again still a choice. If I really, really, really wanted it, I could. I could.
Mhm.
And
So really then where does let's just say you have the love, the gratitude, the vision and the belief, but isn't there also a component of the passion? You have to want it. I mean, how does that fit into this little formula here? You have
okay,
to, I mean, like you just said, that you have to want it. If you really wanted to swim, do a triathlon, you
right.
probably would do it. But it's not high on your list, I take it right now in this point in your life.
Exactly. It's not, yeah, like there's a part of me that would love to attract a partner,
Mhm.
a man
Mhm.
and somebody to play with, to hang out with, to build my new businesses with, but it's not a priority. It's not,
Mhm.
like you go through the list, and what I suggest to people is that they make a list of 100 things that they want to be, do,
Mhm.
have in their life. And then you go through that list and you say, number one or number two? Uh, well, number two, I want more than one. Okay. Then you go, number two, number three. Well,
Mhm.
actually, no, I want two more than I want three. Okay. Then you go two or four. Well, four is more important than two. So you go down that list and you make that shift. You will see what is the number one thing that's important to you.
Uh-huh.
And usually it takes, maybe 20 things, so that's why you want to make a
Mhm.
ginormous list in the first place. And the more you allow yourself to go through that process, you'll be surprised, because that's how you really know. And when you use the word passion, I kind of stay away from the word passion, because I associate that with killing Christ. I mean, that's what I associate passion with, the passion of
Mhm.
Christ. So it's like, I'm not sure I want that in my life. But what I do want is enthusiasm and
Right.
excitement and joy.
Mhm.
And I want the alignment, the peace, the inner peace, and
Mhm.
a lot of people don't care about that. So you go back, what that goes back to is your values. So your vision
Mhm.
has to line up with your values. Like, I've just started two new business thingies that I would probably not have thought of in terms of my, my nice airy fairy self. But
Mhm.
but I'm excited to learn. It's like the same excitement I had when I went typing on Wall Street, to learn about the rest of the world in a different way.
Right.
And
Right.
I and developing the skill sets. A lot of people don't want to develop any more skill sets. Hey, I mean, I can't tell you how many old people I meet who, I'm done with that. I don't want to learn anything more. I don't want to tax my brain. And that's their right to do that.
Uh-huh.
But I've watched them deteriorate and fall apart, and then life
Mhm.
gets it gets too hard and they die. you know,
Right.
and frankly, if my life were too hard, I don't know, but I just see myself, well, worst case, if I were bedridden, I think I would meditate and I would write and I would reach out to
Uh-huh.
people and love on them.
I love it. I love it. I want to go back to something you said earlier, and that's about being in state and changing your state. And I think
Yes.
that, especially in business, that's super important. It's funny, I was talking to an attorney earlier today who puts on workshops, and he was talking about there's three responses to most problems that people encounter and most negotiation kind of techniques, personally and business wise. And one is victimhood, two is being reactionary, and three is being actionary, being a problem solver, resolving things. And I think frequently, especially entrepreneurs, as you so aptly point out, we are entrepreneurs. Real estate agents are entrepreneurs, whether you're working for a broker or have your own business. The bottom line is, I think it's really important for you to change your state and not play the victim. Don't be reactionary, like telling people to go to hell and all that kind of stuff. But changing your state and being in the right state as an entrepreneur, it is difficult. I mean, I know for a fact, it's, a lot of stuff, excuse my language, but a lot of shit can be thrown at you. And how do you change your state? How do you keep your state up?
One of the things I believe that's is we have to be self-starters. We have to
Oh yeah.
be self-managing ourselves, because a lot of times people depend on other people for their state. If you tell me I'm beautiful, I feel beautiful. Instead of, I feel beautiful no matter what. Yes, I'm 50 pounds overweight. So what? I'm still beautiful, And I get to work on that if I want to lose the 50 pounds. It's not like giving up, but I can still feel beautiful now. That's my that's my choice. If I'm have no energy, I can
Mhm.
succumb to that, or I can get up and dance for 5 minutes, or at the listen to something that uplifts you, and pay attention to how that applies to whatever it is that's in your way. But the shit can hit the fan, but you don't
Mhm.
have to be letting that fan blow on you, you know?
Yeah, no, I love that. I heard somebody once say that if you really want to change your state, to change your physiology. Get
Yes,
up, like you said, dance, walk around, do something.
do something different. And I was noticing you said that you change, like you try every half an hour or something to get up and move and do
Yeah.
something to help your state. And I noticed that I get into a position, and I'll work for an hour and a half, and all of a sudden I notice that my energy is like right like this, because
Mhm.
I haven't done anything. And the reason I do that is that I am still learning to manage the transitions. So
Mhm.
if I have a task that I'm doing, when that time is up for that task to do the next task, if I can waste a half an hour in the transition from this activity to that
Yeah.
activity. And
Mhm.
so I'm afraid to change activities, and I stay in the same position. But
Well,
that
there's some scientific truth to what you're saying. I think there was a Harvard study that said basically when you change those tasks like that, it does take you like 15, 20 minutes to sort of like reset, recalibrate. But I'll tell you, Sharon, I get up after 45 to 60 minutes just because out of necessity, because I think I suffer from ADD or something. I just can't sit there for that long. So I'll get up and just, do something different. But I think it's
maybe
really
that's why I
important.
have to go to the bathroom all the time. It's my body helping me change.
There you go. I love it. I love it. That is just, I mean, there's so many different things that in different ways that we can use this. One of the other things that you talked about too, and I totally, totally believe this is so important in business, and that is your vibration. And something that you taught me about called the law of resonance and being in a high vibration, which I guess is the same as changing your state, right? Um,
Absolutely.
can you explain a little bit how that works and why that would be really important for realtors to get it?
Well, you know, when you have two tuning forks that are the same note and you start one of them, the other one will resonate with that and it will start to ring also. You know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is what you're resonating with will resonate back. So if you're resonating negativity, you're resonating boredom, you're resonating, God, this person's an asshole, excuse me. Um,
Or I'm resonating, I'm broke, I don't have money.
I'm broke, I don't have any money, you know, or resonating judgment about that. What's wrong with me that, you know, and, and, and or shame or guilt or any of those
Mm-hmm.
things that we do to ourselves. What happens is we draw more experiences to us that trigger that feeling. So the way you change your state is you think of something that gives you great joy. You think about being with your lover. You think about that moment, that quintessential moment of this is who I want to be. I'm on top of the world. You think about that and you feel it in your body and you take the time to resonate with who that person is. Then you walk out on the street and it's like everybody looks like that to you all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
and for me, it's like that was very challenging for me because I taught myself not to feel anything. I shut down
Mm-hmm.
my feelings as a teenager when my mother killed herself and I didn't have a clue what to do with it. But as
Wow.
I've worked very hard for the last 20, 30 years on developing genuine emotional responses to life instead of
Mm-hmm.
just intellectual. I remember one man once saying to me, you know, you say all these things, but I don't know how you really feel about anything. He could, he like didn't want to be around me because he could, I had all these intellectual thoughts like we're talking about, but he wasn't getting it from inside out. And it was because
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't there, you know.
Right.
So the
Right.
more you can resonate with who you want to be, what you
To
want to
feel it.
feel it. If you can feel it, because you're feeling things whether you're aware of them or not, it's back to conscious awareness.
Yep.
Because if we can be aware of what it is we're putting out there. So if you're being attacked or somebody is, you get to stop and say, wait a second, is there any truth to this? Is there anything that that I I can change in myself to make this different? Or it's
Mm-hmm.
like that morning when all that things were going wrong, I realized, oh, you're nervous about getting involved in this deal and committing to $30,000 with a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
You're nervous about it, so you're creating all these obstacles. Stop that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
I but if I hadn't had that awareness, I could have gone the whole day like that, you know.
No, I mean, it reminds me of something. I'll never forget this as long as I live. That you told me that you said, Chris, you said you're making all this shit up anyways in your
Make it
life.
up in your favor.
Make it up in your favor. Make up good stuff. And I love repeating that because it's so true. I mean, change your state, change what's happening in your life, and make your life, because we are designing our lives, right?
We are designing it. We are we are amazing at what we're creating. And people say, well, I don't have any control over that, but you do. And it's in
Mhm.
micro moments. And I think that's what I like about the journal that I'm doing with God is that sometimes I'm afraid to start because I feel like I'm just being on the surface and I don't have anything important to say. And how am I going to hear any, you know,
Uh-huh.
and I start and it slows me down enough to hear those thoughts that are in my way and
Hmm.
to and it's like I don't have to know what's going to happen 10 steps from now. All I have to know is my next step. All I have to
Right.
know is what I do in this moment. and in that moment. But and
Yeah.
to not be run by my past, to to
Yes.
have, because we all have a past. We all have a sob story. My sob story can. I once did an exercise where it's like, tell your worst victim story and convince the people in your group that you really were a victim. And I did such a good job of it. I actually convinced them. And then it was turn the story around into what the gifts were. And I turned that
Uh-huh.
story around into what the gifts were. And it was like, wow, it was a whole different, and it was a really good experience for me to see how my worst story really was the greatest gift of my life. The balance of that, and one
Mhm.
of the things about the law of resonance that I have a caution about is because
Mhm.
sometimes we get to where, okay, I'm peaceful. I don't want anything to mess this up. Oh, everything's going really smoothly. I don't want to mess this up. So I lose it by trying to hold on to it. Whereas
Mhm.
when you're really in resonance, you can go with the flow. You can be
Mhm.
in flow. But at the minute you try to hold on to it, it's like, oh, that was such a great, I don't want to give up this moment. No, I can have the memory of that moment, but create a new one and a new one. And there's
Mhm.
for our whole lives, we have a new moment
I love that. I love
yeah.
that. That is so cool. I think one of the things that a lot of people get hung up on in terms of resonating and feeling what you could be doing with your life and being grateful for things that you have now and being grateful for things that you want in the future as if you have them right now is a lot of people. You mentioned Martin Luther King's thing. What is it? Just take the first step. You don't need to see the whole staircase. A lot of people get caught up in the how. How is this going to happen? And can you
And
speak
the
to that?
strategies. Okay. Because we operate out of, and this comes from my mentor, Sean G. Murphy. I feel like I want, I have this host of people who talk in my head. And I want to, whenever I can acknowledge somebody, I want to do that. And at the same time, I realize because there are no new thoughts. Okay. So Sean was teaching us about state, story, and strategy. And most people
Mhm.
start with strategy, story, and state. It's like as soon as I get my $10 million, then I'll be able to move and do what I want to do.
Right.
But that's a strat. And then it's like, okay, I'm going to do this, this, this. And you become a human doing. And then when you fail at you don't meet all of the things you're supposed to do in your strategy, you beat yourself up. When you beat yourself up, that doesn't raise your vibration. You don't learn from that per se. Whereas
Mhm.
whereas when you can see it and observe it and love yourself anyway,
Mhm.
and then strategy then becomes a game. So if you start out with the state you want to be in, like the state
Mhm.
that you are that person, and then what is the story you're creating around that? Are you
Mhm.
creating a story of victimhood, or are you creating a story of magnificence? And
Mhm.
then regardless of whether it's exactly happening that way, you come up with a strategy to get you there for the next step. But if you come up with a strategy before you get there, then your vision goes out the window. You become subject to the whims of others. That's when you become the victim, because
Mhm.
even when you're happy for a minute, you become unhappy the next minute. you
Mhm.
know
I
I
think
mean,
that also too that if you're starting with strategy and not with state, that it's backwards, and that if you can start with the state, and then it's sort of like things happen effortlessly to you.
yes.
They just sort of fall in your lap. And I really love that. I really love that a
Yeah,
lot.
I'm learning a new program that has a strategy in it that's really challenging for me. And
Mm.
because I'm in the state I'm in, I'm going, oh boy, I'm finally going to learn these skills that I've never learned before, that I've avoided for 20 years. I'm mastering them. But if I didn't
Uh-huh.
start out with the state, I'd be defeated before I got out of the gate. And that's what
Exactly.
happens to most
Exactly.
people is they go for a strategy. The strategy's hard. They don't have the skill set yet. They don't have the mindset to love themselves through the process. And they just throw up their hands and I don't know what to do. And that's another thing about mentoring. You have to, I, every successful person out there has a mentor. And the more successful they are, they still get a mentor. I mean, I remember when Tiger
Totally
Woods
agree.
was at the top of his game and he got a new mentor, a new coach, and changed his game, went downhill before he got better again. And
Yep.
so
Mhm.
you have to choose and you have to be really, see, I have a tendency to be hyper loyal. And sometimes you have to shift gears. Sometimes you've gone as far as you can with a mentor and you need a different mentor, or you need a mentor for the strategy and you need a different mentor for your mindset. You need a different
Mhm.
mentor. I'm not going to go to me to learn how to lift weights. You know,
Right.
uh,
Right.
I'm not going to tell people to come to me to learn how to lift weights. But I work with somebody who is a world renowned nutrition coach, and we've been in conversation for years. I'm his client, but sometimes he has me on his calls like you did. And the last time we're on a
Mhm.
call, he said, "You know what? Next time, let's have a call about spiritual weight loss." you know, to add that element into his strategy that people get stuck
Mhm.
on. You know,
I love that. That's so cool. That is so cool. Listen, Sharon, I do have to wrap up. I think this was an amazing talk. Last thoughts. If you had to talk to a brand new real estate agent and give that person some sage wisdom, what would you say?
my first thought is go to Chris Stafford's Agent Unleashed.
Yes.
seriously, seriously, you want to find a mentor that you can resonate with, who you trust, who you know, like, and trust, and
Mm,
then follow them. Don't sift and sort. Well, I like that, but I don't like this. Do what they tell you to do until you have their results. Find a model of somebody that you
mhm.
want to be like. And then once you've got that, once you understand all of that, then if you want to, tweak it, that's different. But don't tweak it until you've mastered it, you
I
know.
love it. I love it. I mean, you just ended this whole interview on the highest note possible. Thank you so much, Sharon. I really appreciate it very much. I
Oh,
appreciate
and
your
by the way,
time.
I have one request. I have this brand new Instagram account, Sharon H Gist. I have a different one that has Sharon with underscore Gist, but I want you to go to Sharon H Gist. It's got less than 50 followers. I'm trying to get to 1,000 followers as quickly as possible. So even if you're not particularly interested in what I'm talking about today, just go follow me, please, and like my reels as I'm learning how to do it. Like them anyway, and that will
I
help
will.
me.
That sounds great. And I'll put Sharon H Gist on Instagram. We'll definitely put that in the show notes and make sure we get people over there. Again, Sharon, thank you so much, my friend. I really appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you. It was fun as always, always, always.
Thanks.